Hi, I'm John McCain. Today, after nearly a year, the Senate Democrats are still trying to scramble together their latest proposal to reform America's healthcare system, which constitutes 1/6 of the American economy. Millions of Americans are very worried that whatever bill emerges from the confused and secretive process Democrats use to cobble this legislation together will ultimately do more harm than good, and they have every right to be. The biggest problem in our healthcare system and the greatest concern of a majority of Americans are its out-of-control cost increases. For years, healthcare costs have grown far faster than the rate of inflation, making healthcare insurance increasingly expensive and unaffordable for more and more Americans and their employers. The best thing government could do to ensure more Americans have access to healthcare insurance is to institute reforms that would rein in costs and make healthcare more affordable for more Americans. Regrettably, there's nothing in this legislation that effectively addresses the problem of healthcare hyperinflation. In fact, experts tell us the Democrat legislation makes matters worse. Instead, Democrats are proposing, in an era of high unemployment, record deficits, and national debt, to spend $2.5 trillion on another unsustainable entitlement program. To pay part of the costs of this enormous new burden on American taxpayers, $500 billion in new tax increases will be authorized almost immediately. An additional $500 billion in so-called savings will come from cutting Medicare, including from home health care services and the popular Medicare Advantage program that 11 million seniors currently use. However, reforms of the system, such as they are, will be delayed for 4 years. According to the government's own health care scorekeepers, the bill will increase the cost of health care as well as the health insurance premiums Americans pay to cover health care inflation. That's why thousands of physicians, large and small American businesses, and according to a recent poll, 61% of the American people oppose this ill-considered and ruinously expensive government failure to address the biggest threat to the viability of America's healthcare system. To disguise the cost of their reforms, Democrats are resorting to accounting gimmicks that would make Bernie Madoff blush. Contrary to assurances from the White House and the Democratic leadership in Congress, the process Democrats used to write the bill was anything but open and bipartisan. It was an exercise in legislative sausage-making conducted behind closed doors without the participation of Republicans. The administration cut deals with the drug companies to get their support, which ensured increased profits for them and increased costs for consumers. As part of the deal, the White House even opposed an amendment authored by a senior Democratic senator, which I and other Republicans supported, which would have made it easier for Americans to safely import their prescription drugs at substantially lower costs from Canada and other approved exporters. Every major reform in American history has been a bipartisan effort. I've worked with Democrats on many occasions to solve some of the country's most urgent problems. Never, in my experience, has one party attempted to increase the government's influence in 1/6 of the American economy over the nearly unanimous opposition of the other party. Despite having the best quality health care in the world, Republicans recognize it's too expensive and too many Americans don't have access to affordable health care, and we're committed to doing something about it. We would welcome the opportunity to work with Democrats to make health care more affordable and accessible by addressing the underlying problems that drive health care cost increases. We could bring down these costs by reforming litigation abuses of the system, the junk lawsuits that result in the practice of wasteful defensive medicine and drive up insurance premiums. We could lower costs and improve the quality of health care if we transform the way we pay health care providers to emphasize the quality of the treatment and outcomes. We could lower insurance premiums by allowing insurance companies to compete for your business across state lines. And we could institute insurance reforms that would make sure people with existing medical conditions could get insurance and the care they need without imposing massive new burdens on taxpayers. These reforms and others would go a long way toward addressing the most urgent problems in our healthcare system. They would have bipartisan support, and I believe the support of a majority of Americans. Democrats have chosen to go another way. The result will be a healthcare system that costs more and still leaves millions without coverage. The hour is late, but there's still time to stop Congress from making this terrible mistake. Contact your senators and representatives today and urge them in the White House not to make our health care problems worse, but to start working with committed members of both parties to make the best quality health care in the world more affordable and accessible to the people who elected us. I'm John McCain. Happy holidays and thank you for listening.